We'd like to welcome each and every individual to Voices of Integrity podcast for buying a business. You always want to come early, always want to stay late. And so, Ben, he asked me on the pre show if I didn't enjoy doing this. So I'm not bringing my A game. Well, I don't know, because maybe it's on the pre. So it's like you turn it on, like on TV, radio, you like, bam, I'm there ready to go. And so today, I've got, I'm starting to get into the songwriting business. And so I've got some, a song for you guys. Um, but before we do that, let's go ahead. And so it's about building teams. And so it's about building teams. And so, Luke, what did you want to accomplish?
How do you care even when you don't or you're not really confident at all that it's a good investment to care?
Well, it definitely is not going to be a good investment if you don't care. So, yeah, yeah,
Gotcha.
yeah. So, you know, if you don't care, it's for sure not going to be a good investment. Like you're going to lose your shirt. So you want to give it your all until until it's done. And so at the point there's a tipping point. So when I got graduated from college, went into 100% straight commission sales position, and I'm making a buck an hour after 3.5 months, going to the president's desk, pound on his desk, Tony, I'm doing everything you guys are telling me to do. So I'm 24 years old, 23, 24 years old. And I'm like, I'm doing everything you guys are telling me to do, and it's not working. My wife and I had been married for 4 years at the time. She had graduated at the same time I did. We bought a house at the same time. And, she was pregnant. And so a little bit of pressure there, and I'm making a buck an hour. And he's like, well, Mark, it takes 12 to 18 months to really see success. I said, well, I don't have 12 to 18 months. He said, what do you think you ought to do? And I said, well, I think I ought to do this, this, and this. Fortunately, I'd started a number of my own companies while I was in college. None of them made it. I think the average business owner, before when I say made it, they didn't lose money. Well, one of them lost money. The other ones made money, but I didn't sell them. But I learned a lot from them. And so, um, you always want to care. Like you always want to care. One of the things that's come, and so he said, well, what do you think you ought to do? And I listed three things. He said, well, go do them. Fortunately, one of the companies I'd started was a computer company. That's the company I lost money on. I think that's the only company I've ever started that I actually lost money on. And but I had all that computing, so I had more computing power at home than the whole company had. So even though I lost money on that, it was still a great experience, and I used all of that to make money. And so a lot of times, like in life, we can think something's a failure when it's a success. We can think something's a success when it's failure. And so, like today, like building a team. So Um, for Coffee Connection, it was last month. Afterwards, short story is, a lot of people didn't go to the debrief, and they had good reasons in their own mind. But their algorithm, they're not thinking, and they're not asking questions. Obviously, I mean, not young guys, so they know what they're doing. Obviously, so they're not saying, "Hey, Mark, do you think it'd be better to do this or this?" They just do what they want to do, which is fine. It's their life. They can crash and burn, smoke a hole in the ground. It's okay. Anyways, there was a young single mom, and she was on, and she had I mean, it was rough. She came, she pushed through all of it, and then she was on for the debrief at 2 o'clock. And at the end, I'm like, Nora, why are like she had 2 hours of sleep. She's got a 3-year-old son, and he was sick, and just like, why are you still on? And she said, we're a team, Mark. And it just went right into my heart. And I'm like, oh my goodness. And then I realized that, I suck in building teams. And so, it's been almost a month now. And so what I'm doing is I'm building a system for a team. So I'll let you guys, watch the four videos, but we're just gonna watch one of them. So which one do you guys want to watch? Version one, two, three, or four?
I think number one looks like
You want to
that I
watch
would
number
choose.
one? You can watch any one of them.
Yeah.
Which one do you want to
Which
watch?
one do you want to watch?
I don't care. I've seen them all, so I don't care.
Gotcha. I don't care either.
One is fine.
Okay. So this is Nora's favorite here. Okay. So, all right. Here we go.
Yeah. Woo. Yeah. Goofball on the team. You showed up saying, put me in the game. What a jersey, let a name. Talk real big about team and pride, but left the work on the side. You want the wins, the cheers, the claps. Skip the grind, avoid the gaps. Say I'm in when things go right. Disappear when there's a fight. You want the crown without the white. The finish line, but not the race. Goofball on the team. Yeah, you love the dream. Want the spotlight to shine, but not the in between. Want respect, want the slay, but won't show up day to day. Yeah. Goofball on the rise, standing on the side, waiting for the moment you can say you tried, but the truth don't bend. Can't pretend you gotta give to win, my friend. Small things, nah, you pass those by. Not my job is your reply, but every team is built that way. Little bricks make big things stay. You keep asking why not me, but you don't do what others see. Respect ain't something you demand, it's built slow, hand in hand. Flip that switch, change your lane. Stop chasing claps, embrace the pain. Serve the team, give your all. Watch how fast they lift you up tall. No more goofball on the team. Now you live the dream. Put the work in daily, now you caught the machine. Gave your heart, played your role. Now the team got your soul. Funny how it works out, ain't it true? When you show up, they show up for you.
Like, I don't know. I'm just saying.
Shelly was so confused.
Yep, this is my dad writing, composing, building music. That's my dad. That's the kind of music. Yeah, he's a musician now. He's a songwriter. Questions that either of you have?
I've
I
never
like
been
it.
great at listening to lyrics.
Right?
That's
Well,
why I like country songs, is because I can actually hear the lyrics. I
Yeah.
couldn't hear it. It was speaking too fast for me to
Well, that's
correlate
why I
it.
had the words up here so you could see the words, you could read the words, but we was talking fast, so yeah. What are your thoughts, Luke?
I like it.
What do you like about it?
I don't know, the motto, like kind of what the song is saying, and then I think the music's kind of cool as well.
Right? So let's go ahead and try let's try another one here. So just for you guys can watch all four because it's really fascinating to me. So here's number 4.
Goofball on the team. Goofball on the team. You showed up saying, put me in the game. What a jersey, love the name. Talk real big about team and pride, but left the work on the side. You want the wins, the cheers, the claps. Skip the grind, avoid the gaps. Say I'm in when things go right. Disappear when there's a fight. You want the crown without the weight. The finish line but not the race. Goofball on the team. Yeah, you love the dream. Want the spotlight shine but not the in-between. Want respect, want the same, but won't show up day to day. Goofball on the ride, standing on the side, waiting for the moment you can say you tried, but the truth don't bend. Can't pretend you gotta get a win, my friend. Yeah, small things, now you pass those by. Not my job is your reply, but every team is built that way. Little bricks make big things stay. You keep asking, why not me? But you don't do what others see. Respect ain't something you demand. It's built slow, hand in hand. Flip that switch, change your lane. Stop chasing claps, embrace the pain. Stir the team, give your all. Watch how fast they lift you up tall. No more goofball on the team, now you live a dream. Put the work in daily, now you part the machine. Gave your heart, played your role. Now the team got your soul. Funny how it works out, ain't it true? When you show up, they show up for you.
So, like, it's interesting to me on like the whole music stuff. I'm starting to go ahead and really enjoy the songs. Like, they just like they convey so much, and and I learned, like, my mentor is Taylor Swift. Like she's Taylor, and I, man, she's taught me a lot. Like, a lot. So
What has she taught you?
well, you know, so I don't know how to say, I don't know how to find the right words. So I'm just going to use the words, but they might not be right. So if any of you Swifties are out there, don't take offense or anything. I'm just saying that, like she dates somebody, right?
Mm-hmm.
Breaks up, she writes a song, makes millions and millions of dollars in the breakup. Now that guy's kind of got a song out there about him and what a goofball he is. Like, so that's got to teach the future people dating her, listen, probably don't want to go ahead and, because she'll write a song about you. So if you're saying, wait a minute, Mark, I'm trying to connect the dots here. Are you saying that, people might be a little bit concerned about hanging around with you because you might write a song about them? I didn't say that. I just said I was inspired by Taylor Swift. So like people, it's weird on how people like game the system, and people, like, it's interesting on how I'm telling everybody I just suck as building teams. And Alvin Miller, he said, maybe it's not that, Mark. He's like, maybe I don't see that about you at all. I think you're a great team builder. And I'm like, well, yeah. He's like, maybe it's just the people on the team. Like, well, I hope it's not that, because that, I mean, it's interesting because Kevin Clausen, I'm sure he's much better now than he was back then, but he's a computer programmer, brilliant, genius guy when he was on. And he went ahead and said to me, I told him, I said, Kevin, you're killing me, buddy. When you're on, you're really on. And when you're off, you're really off. Like, I got to have you on. I got to have consistency. And he looks at me and he says, I don't think you're taking personal ownership on this. I'm like, okay. Like, I didn't expect that response. And I said, well, what percentage of ownership do you think I'm taking? And he said, 85%. And I said, okay, that's pretty high. Like, what percentage do you think I should be taking? He said, 100%. You're the business owner. And I'm like, man, the guy's brilliant. What great advice. Why didn't I think of that? And within 30 days, he was gone. like, why am I fighting? Boom, he's gone. Replace that guy. Like, just boom, he's gone. 100% ownership, he's gone. So I think that, especially in today's society, that a lot of team members, a lot of employees, they're all mixed up. Just like in families, the kids are mixed up. They think they're the parent. They think they're the one in control. It's like, yeah, sadly, sometimes they are. It's like the prison, prisoners running the inmates running the asylum. It's like, that's not going to work out so good. And so it's like, so it's harder than ever to own a company, run a company, because there's so much entitlement. there's so much, like, there's just so much entitlement. And so, you're fighting against it. So if you've got somebody who's 20 or 30 or 40 years old and they've gotten everything they want in life and they scream and yell and use a lot of drama and make up a lot of reasons, a lot of excuses for a lot of things. And then you as a business owner how do you change that? How do you go ahead and do that? And it's getting harder. So I've owned my own companies for over 40 years, and it's getting harder and harder. You can't even find good ones. You got to build them. So you got to change their entire way of thinking. Like, you got to reprogram them. And so, questions, Luke?
How do the factories do it?
Money, just pure money. Most everybody doesn't like working there. It's all about the money.
Gotcha.
Like, I would say 95%, if not 99% of the people I talk to from working in the RV factories, it's like, what do you want to do? None of them say, oh, I want to continue to work here the rest of my life, just loving it. So they built a system that they can pay their people a lot of money. So it's all about the money. It's about the money. Now, that's not entirely true, because when Kenny left the factory to start his own company, I asked him what he missed the most. He didn't say the money. He said the camaraderie. So it's the camaraderie and the money. What's fascinating to me, there's some interesting people out there. There's business owners that they own companies and they think they're a business owner, but like in the factory, like I was talking to one of the, the guy who runs the plant manager, so runs the whole thing. I said, what's your biggest challenge? He said, I want to make most of the people there are men. They're not all men, but he said, I want to make the guys where they don't go home and complain to their wives. And there's a guy that used to work in the factory, and he didn't complain to his wife. I mean, I talked to he and his wife were at an event, and I said to his wife, I said, hey, this gentleman, your husband, he doesn't like working in the factory. And she says, oh, he doesn't mind working in the factory. I'm like, really? You think so? And she's like, oh, yeah. I said, ask him. She asked him, and she said, hey, like working in the factory? He's like, no. And she's like, really? Like, why don't you ever complain? And he's like, what good will that do? So he understood it. He understood it in the factory, but he didn't understand in owning his own company. Like, he'll go home and complain to his wife. So, and that doesn't work good, because then your wife, she doesn't want to hear that. So she says, get out of the factory, or, give up your business, or get rid of your business partner. So it's like, so there's a different way of thinking for business owners, and an entrepreneur is an entirely different animal. But just if we stuck with business owners, so how do you go ahead? And so if you have a mindset of an employee and you try to be a business owner, it's not going to work out well for you or people that you oversee, because you think you're. And what's really bad is if you have a business owner that thinks like an employee, but they think like a business owner, but they really don't, but they think they do. And so they're typically black and white people. Things are right, wrong. It's black and white. And so what they do is they go ahead and think, well, here's a list of how I think like a business owner. It's like, yes, that's true. There's 12 things on your list. Yes, you're a business owner. What you don't understand is there's 100 things on the list. And if you do 99 of those things, you could go ahead and be knocked out of business. And so getting people, Tom Coons, he went ahead and said, what's the difference between somebody who's a landlord and somebody who's, renting? I wasn't sure. I said, I'm not sure. He says, it's how they think. And so a lot of business owners, especially in certain industries, they don't think like business owners. They think like in CPA. My oldest brother is a CPA. In the CPA in the accounting industry, if you ask a CPA or accountant, do you want to grow your business? A lot of times they'll say, maybe not. Why not? Because they think like employees. They're not thinking like business owners. So they think, well, if I grow my business, I'm going to have more work. That's an employee thinking. That's not a business owner. A business owner understands if I grow my business properly, I'm going to have less work. I think one of the things as a business owner, Luke, you had the impression that you could have a business and then you'd have all this freedom and then you could make money on everybody else and you could dish all the jobs you didn't like, all the things you didn't enjoy doing, you could dish them to somebody else, make all this money, have all this free time, and not do anything you don't want to do.
Like,
What? So
Yeah, what is so funny, Ben? I'm living the dream.
sounds like it.
So, I mean, a lot of people, they enter into marriage that way. Yeah, it's all going to be, fun. And it's like, there's a lot of fun in marriage. I promote it, but for sure,
Like,
I do promote it. But, there's same thing, with kids. And so in this here, I mean, I love the lyrics of this. I just absolutely love the lyrics. It's like, it's like you want the respect, but you won't show up. You think all of a sudden, well, I'm the business owner. The business owner takes out the trash. The business owner does the things that nobody else wants to do. The business owner is the last one to get paid. You don't just, so how do you go ahead and help somebody? How do you help somebody learn to think in a different way? So anyways, anything else, Ben, you got, sir?
nope.
All right, bring your questions because this one, I have a feeling this one's just about ready to get heated up a little bit. And so for sure. And then invite your friends who want to, start a company, buy a company, because those are good things. Always remember we can accomplish so much more together than we ever could on our own. Have an amazing day. Bye-bye.